born an athlete, you'll die an athlete. It's in your DNA.
You're an athlete. Live like an athlete so that you can be successful in life.
You're an athlete. Live like it.
ANA, America needs athletes.
Welcome, athletes, into another episode of the Gym Closet, episode 182 or 183, depending on the order. We don't quite know.
Because last week we did one and we got done and realized it didn't record, so...
Zach's interview just does not want to happen.
Zach's interview, it was so solid, too. It was such a good interview.
It was a really good
I don't know how we're going to just remake that, but...
We're going to remake the magic. But if this is your first time joining us, the Gym Closet is a Krave Gym podcast. We talk about how to be successful in life, how to live life like an athlete. And if you've joined us before, you know this season we're working with Hometown Heroes. And we found a Hometown Hero that we have, so 4 categories, right? So we have military, police, firefighters, and...
EMT.
An EMT, and you're 50% of those, at least. Okay.
She's a badass.
So we have a ton of those.
Just gonna call it.
And I'll let Amber introduce. But do we have anything before we get right into the interview?
I don't think so.
Awesome. So we're gonna jump right in.
All right. Well, first, Becky, thank you for joining us. Woo. So, first, she's never been over to our West Des Moines location, so that was a new thing for her. Second, I don't know if have you ever been on a podcast?
Nope.
Okay, first one.
First time
for everything. Third, we're in the closet, and she's like, "This really is a closet. Legit closet.
Legit.
So we don't show you guys this side
closet.
of the closet. We show you this side of the closet. So it's a closet. So, but thank you so much for doing this. We appreciate it. So our goal is just to get more interviews on and to get to know our athletes a little bit more. And you've been an incredible athlete. Everyone knows you're just a badass, and I thought it'd be so fun to have you on this podcast to interview you because I love your story and who you are as a person. And so, you're a Waukee athlete.
Do you want to introduce everybody to her that's listening?
What?
Did you introduce everybody to her?
I said this is Becky.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't, okay.
That's enough.
Yes.
All right, that's enough. Okay, perfect.
So, Waukee athlete, say your last name, Vandermark.
Okay.
Okay, just like it's spelled.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So, Becky came to Waukee maybe 8 months ago.
Yeah, like September maybe last year.
And Zach was like, you know she's a sheriff. I'm like, shut the front door. Like, I knew you had like a little badassery, is that a word? Badassery to you? But I'm like, okay. And then I found out you're a teacher before that. I'm like, okay. So how does she go from a teacher to a sheriff and all the in-between? So I'm super excited for this too because I don't know the complete story. But yeah, so we're in our striking season. I think it's one of your favorite seasons.
It is my favorite.
It's fun to watch you and your hubby go after it. It's one of my favorites. And then you guys going at each other at the challenge was also a top favorite.
I smoked him last
season. You
season.
smoked him. Yes, you did. So why don't you give us a little bit of background about yourself, like where you're from, where you grew up, and kind of just going into college and what you thought you wanted to do for your career.
Okay. So I'm from West Des Moines. I actually live not too far from the rugby field over there. I went to Valley, and getting out of high school, college sounded horrible. Like I was a good student, straight A's, and it just didn't sound very exciting. So I don't even know how I ended up in a recruiter's office, but I did.
Okay.
And when I told my friends about it, they kind of laughed, and I was like, "Well, what the fuck? Like, why are they laughing?
Right.
Like, what's so funny about this?" And then I kind of told my parents, and they kind of laughed, and I was like, "Okay." So now I'm doing
Not
it.
me.
Now I'm doing it. Okay. So I picked the Marines because it's the hardest. And I think that my parents thought if they signed the papers, because I was only 17, that I wouldn't want it anymore. So I talked them into it. I was like, yep, this is what I want. I'm going to join the Marines. I'm going to graduate high school early. And they were like, okay.
Right.
Yeah, whatever you want.
One of those bad boyfriend type of things.
Yeah.
Like, don't say she can't do it because then she'll want it more.
Yeah. So like they signed the papers and I graduated a semester early from Valley and I went.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
I was 17 when I started.
Wow. So what was that recruitment process like? Like, are they pretty desperate to get people in, or is it like a hard recruitment process you have to go through?
It was easy for me because I'm pretty sure I went there. So I was like, yep, I'm interested. Talk to me. They have like cards or something that they use and they figure out what you're interested in.
Okay.
You have to take an ASVAB, which is the Armed Service, whatever functionality test.
Okay.
And I scored high enough on that I could get into aviation. And that kind of tells you your like what jobs are available to you, your pay brackets, and all that. So I actually didn't even look into any of the other services. I was just like, the Marines is the hardest. Everybody thinks I can't do it.
Great. And then everyone was like, holy shit, she's doing it.
And then they're like, oh my God, she did it.
So what was
so
like,
cool.
what was the first, you always hear boot camp, right? You always hear kind of that first year or however long it takes to kind of get integrated into being a Marine. What was that like for you?
So my MOS school, so I was in air support, and the easiest way for me to explain that is in the movies, when they call somebody on the radio and then the jet flies over, they're calling for air support. So I would be the person that they would call for air support. So whether they dropping bombs or they need a medevac or whatever they need, I was the connection between the ground and the air.
Okay,
So
awesome.
that was my job.
Okay. And where did you go to, like, where did you go for this?
So I was in 29 Palms, California,
Okay.
which is
Did you love it? You
horrible
hated
place.
it. Hated
Horrible
it. Okay.
place. I was there for about 6 months for school.
Okay.
And then I got
Did you
sent.
pick which school you wanted to go to, or did they just they picked for you?
So that's the only school
Oh, it's
for
the
air
only- okay.
support. Yep.
Okay.
So you pick your job and then they tell you where your school's at.
Okay.
So
Okay,
like air traffic control is a completely separate thing. That's
Mm-hmm.
in Pensacola, Florida.
Okay.
So I was in like the armpit
Did you know
of
going
California.
into this
Sure.
where you were going?
No.
That might have changed your mind a
Surprise! You're going to the middle of nowhere.
Dang it.
29 Palms is also where they train to go to Afghanistan and Iraq.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So it's like the desert in
Sure.
California.
Right.
So
right.
Fun.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
that
I
was
was
6
there.
months?
Yep, 6 months. And
Were you
then-
homesick at all or anything?
No, I was
No?
still in the United
Yeah.
States. It was
Yep.
still exciting.
Yep.
So I went to Okinawa, Japan after that. I did 2 years over there.
Cool.
From there, I saw Thailand and Korea. Humanitarian aid. I was on a ship for a month. I did it was Banda Aceh or Singapore. They
Okay.
had a tsunami over there in 2004. So
Wow.
we did humanitarian relief for that.
Okay.
And then they were going to send me back to 29 Palms to train people up to go to Iraq and Afghanistan. And I was kind of upset that I hadn't been yet. So I switched jobs. Was like, nope, I'm not doing it. So then I went Marine Security Guard, which
Okay.
is it's like a special B billet. You either go recruiter, DI, drill instructor, or MSG, Marine Security Guard. So that is where you work in the American embassies all over the world.
Cool.
Okay.
So-
that is awesome.
Yep. So then I came back stateside. I went to MSG school, which is in Quantico, Virginia.
Okay.
And
How long's that?
Oh gosh.
Holy
Maybe 3
shit!
months?
Your friends
3
and your
months?
family's just like, okay, she's doing it.
Yeah. So 3 months. I came back and
Intense. I'm sure it's just intense.
yeah. So you're OC sprayed. You fight. You do pressure point techniques. You do hand-to-hand combat. Like all the things.
Some striking season.
yeah.
Nothing.
I love it. It's great.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So cool. Okay, so then did you work anywhere after that? Like for a while? Like
So then once you are done with school, you're officially like a Marine Security Guard. So my first one was my hardship. So that's
Okay.
actually where I saw my combat at. So that was in Kinshasa in the Congo.
wow.
So I lived in the Congo for
Wow.
10 months.
Jeez. I didn't even know half of this stuff. And you're like, what am I going to talk about? Like, you have so much to talk about. Okay, so 10 months there.
So I was in the Congo. So combat was there. They had like a 3-day civil war. We weren't the target of it, but we were kind of in the middle of it. So that was the first time I was shot at. So that was when I was 20.
Wow.
20 years old
So
there.
all this in
Wow.
just 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
That's
life
crazy.
experiences in 3
Yeah.
years. Really cool.
So that was my hardship there. And then after you get a hardship, they usually try to give you a cush spot. So I got to go to Geneva, Switzerland,
Okay.
which was amazing.
Awesome.
So I got to see all of Europe.
Uh-huh.
I had a little accident out in Switzerland. I was in a snowboarding accident.
Okay.
So I thought that because I could snowboard at Sleepy Hollow, that I could snowboard in the Swiss Alps.
A little different.
A little bit different. So I broke both bones in my arm and dislocated every bone in my hand.
Oh.
So I had like Wolverine pins coming out of my wrist.
Oh, no.
So luckily I was able to learn how to type with one hand, and I
Okay.
made myself useful. So I basically ran the bar at the Marine House
Okay. so
in
you
Switzerland.
just-
Yep.
okay.
So they were able to keep me there, help do paperwork.
All right.
And then, do you know who Edward Snowden is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was in Switzerland with Edward Snowden.
Okay. Can you inform me who is that?
So
you probably know more about me than I was if you were there.
He worked in the embassy and like the CIA super secret scroll stuff. And he basically gave some secrets out to some people who shouldn't have them. And so I'm pretty sure he's hiding out in Russia.
Wow.
Right now.
What was,
So
what was the website? That was WikiLeaks deal, right?
Yeah, something. He leaked out all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
So he...
So you were there all at that time that was
Yep,
going
so
down?
I saw him every day. He'd come to the Marine House and hang out. We'd sign the little black box out to him from Post 1. So there is a documentary called
crazy.
Snowden.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. Wow. Yep. Cool.
You know what I feel like right now? I feel like we're talking like Forrest Gump. And because like, you know, all the like events in history like that he just happened to be at. I feel like that's who we're talking about. Yeah. She was like, yeah, and then you know, played football at Alabama, and then I ran that smiley face shirt, and that I created that by wiping my face on it and throwing it somewhere. That's what I feel like right now.
Hey,
so
we could get there.
I was gonna say,
I feel like we're
like 21 at this point.
Right? She's 21, and we're 10 minutes into this podcast right now. So okay, so continuing. I love this.
So like at that time, you didn't know like who he was, or did you know who he was at that time too, or
he
until
was
everything?
Well, he hadn't done anything.
Yeah,
like
right.
that.
Yeah, he was just some guy that worked there. Right. And then all this came out, and you're like, holy crap, that was.
Yeah, I mean, it took. Like the documentary coming out, and then all the Marines that I lived with, we were texting each other like, "Holy shit! Did you know?" Like he was so quiet and so just kind of dorky,
Right, right.
And it like,
yeah,
like wow, never would have
Crazy.
guessed. Did not know he was that smart.
Interested in
Yeah,
that. Right.
Yeah.
Super smart guy.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so then Switzerland, you were there for how long?
Because
then
14 months.
Would you have been there that long no matter what? Had you broken your bones or not? Or like how did...
Probably not.
Okay.
I think I got extended a little bit.
Okay.
And then my last one was Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
Which
so could you pick these places, or did they kind of send you there without
They try to send you wherever you want.
Yeah.
Okay. So you request, you can be like, here's my top 5, and they don't have to give you anything on your top 5. It's the military. They're going to send you whatever they want.
Yep.
So... Yep, that definitely wasn't in my list. So back to the desert. So Abu Dhabi's right by Dubai.
Yep. Yeah. And that's where Special Olympics Iowa had their World Championships
4 years ago.
4 years ago, I think.
Nice.
So yep. So know a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's hot out there.
I can imagine. Okay, and then so that was okay, not as good as Switzerland, or
yeah.
Nothing crazy happened there. Come on, fill us in on the goods.
A lot of sandstorms. right. Nothing real crazy out there.
Did you get to go to Dubai then and see all that?
Yeah, the tallest building in the world was being built. They were building the islands that look like palm trees.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a lot of construction.
What does it feel like there? Like, can you just feel like because what they basically made this city, because they have so much money, they made this place that's really cool in the middle of nothingness, right?
Yes.
Can you just feel the money? Like,
yes.
Is it that way? Okay.
And it's weird because in different parts of the city, it's like run down and not good looking and just like kind of trashy.
Right.
And then you go to like Atlantis or these fancy spots and you're like, Jesus.
This is all the same area.
Cow.
Yeah. Isn't that
crazy? It's crazy.
I've heard it's like kind of like Vegas times however many.
Okay. Yeah, because you have like Fremont Street. Well, Fremont Street's cleaned up, but you have those off streets close to there that are just dumpy.
But then you just have a ton of money.
That's a good way. Yeah. That's a good way to put it. So, yeah, nothing really happened there. Like, so you did security there at that time. Then, so you got back. So you got out of your cast and everything.
Yep.
So they put you back on
back
the line.
to it.
What is that job as far as like security? Are you like actually entailed to someone? Are you someone's security during that time? As far as
the American embassy.
Okay.
Like,
so
in general, not the ambassador or anybody like that. So we call it Post 1.
Okay.
So you see it on movies sometimes. If you've seen 13 Hours, that's a story of one of the MCs that got overtaken.
Sure.
So there's Post 1, and the Marine there has control over the entire building, all entries, all cameras, everything.
Okay, cool.
And there's a response button, and it sends the alarm to the Marine house. So all the Marines live in the same house, and then the alarm goes off, and you go.
Holy crap. That's so crazy.
Because obviously, if there's an issue, that's where a foreign country is going to attack if they have an issue with it.
And so you guys each take shifts kind of at that time?
Yep, so you work 8 hours on, and then you have other jobs that we do for another 8 hours, and then you sleep for 8 hours. So you work either 4 on, 3 off, 3 on, 4 off, or some kind of rotation, but you're in post one for 8 hours straight.
And was it hard to talk to your family at that time? Because how many years ago was that then? Because now you have Skype and FaceTime, but I don't think that they probably allow a lot of people in the Marines to do that now. Or like, how is
Vonaphone? Is that
okay?
phone? Like it's like an international phone, Vonaphone. It sounds familiar.
Because was it hard to communicate? Did you have to do letters?
No.
Or you could call phone calls
Yeah.
and things like that. Just
Normal stuff.
That's awesome. Okay, so then after that, you came home.
Yeah, so I decided I'd seen like 20 different countries, spoke a bunch of different languages, did all the things I
Since
wanted
you're
to do.
probably 22, 23 at this time.
23.
Okay, awesome.
So I got out 23, 24,
Okay.
and I was like, well, I like missed Iowa. I know that's like the weirdest thing to say, but
It's home
we have
though,
4
you know,
seasons.
yeah.
Like we have all the beautiful things. It's just very calm and nice here.
Yep.
And
Makes
you
you
don't
appreciate
know.
it.
Yeah,
It
you
makes
don't
you
know until you
appreciate
go away for a
What
long
you
time.
have, right?
Sure.
Because
So-
we bitch about Iowa all the time.
I know.
Like it's too hot, too freaking cold. I hate fall. Most fall and spring are pretty awesome, but you know how we all bitch about it. But it is. I'm sure it's eye opening to be like, no, I do like different seasons and appreciate the heat when it's here and stuff like that. So, okay. So then, did you decide to go back to school?
Yep. So I had gotten my associates just online while I was overseas. So I came home and I was like, well, shit. Like, what am I going to do with myself now? And I used to play like teacher with my animals as a kid, and that was like my thing to do. And I remembered a few of my teachers that made a big impact in my life. So I was like, you know what? I think I want to be a teacher.
What is your family?
Right?
friends
And
think
they
of
were
that?
like, okay. So I went to Iowa State, and I got kindergarten through 6th grade endorsement.
Okay.
And then I also have a middle school endorsement, and I also have K through 12 coach.
Awesome.
So I started teaching 6th grade English out in Woodward Granger.
Okay.
And I was there for 3 years, and then I taught 8th grade English for 6 years.
Okay.
And
Which
I have-
one did you like that? Which one did you like better? Because you stayed in one longer.
They both,
so.
they both have their own things.
I think middle school would just be so hard at that age. I
It's
just think that
extremely
they're like, I don't know.
Did you let the kids in on that you were an ex-Marine and
Oh, there's no such thing as an
or
ex-Marine.
a Marine?
A
okay.
Marine,
yeah.
yeah. Like
Good.
once Marine,
Thank
always
you.
Marine.
I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah!
Yeah.
Yep. So they love
So they're
hearing my
pretty
stories.
terrified. They're like, yes, Miss Becky,
Yeah.
yes.
No, they. I would tell them stories that were appropriate for
Yes.
school.
Right.
And they thought it was neat, and I would bring stuff from different countries to show them, and
Oh, sure.
Cool.
so they liked it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so I have my master's in teacher effectiveness and professional development,
Okay.
and COVID just kind of killed everything I loved about teaching. Like they couldn't be near each other, they couldn't talk to each other, we couldn't use the same resources. Everybody just like sit in your own space and don't touch anything. So
And I think it ruined it for a lot of teachers
Yeah.
because it sounds like a lot of them are quitting and exploring different career opportunities and things like that. So unfortunately, it had a big impact on that whole career.
yeah, online learning.
Yeah.
The
And so
first part
what year, like, was it, 1 year into COVID, you're just like, screw this, like, I'm over it? Or was it before then, did you start kind of already tinkering with not loving what you were doing?
I think it was the year before COVID. I was trying to like move around a little bit, so I was trying to go down to 5th grade.
Okay.
So the difference between 5th grade and middle school is 5th grade is self-contained. So it means they stay in the same room with you. So it's like
right.
the 22 kids, all you, all day,
Do
ready
all
to
the
go.
subjects,
Sure.
yes,
Yep.
absolutely.
And I'm like, yeah, I want to teach all the things. Like
Yes.
I've taught English for so long. Like let's go. And instead of 150 kids a day for 45 minutes
Right.
at a time.
Okay.
And then you just kind of repeat what you do
Sure.
6 times.
Yeah.
So Waukee wasn't going to let me do that.
Okay. And so what's the reasoning? Or, like, why wouldn't they want you to? Because you don't have enough experience in it?
No
or-
experience
okay.
yet. So
Okay.
even though I have teaching experience, I don't have that teaching experience.
Okay. Which
So
kind of sucks.
yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to leave the district because I have a daughter and she goes to Waukee. So if I were to get on a different schedule than her, early outs and all that craziness. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just stick around for a little bit. COVID happened, and that first spring was like Jesus.
The worst.
Oh yeah,
Jesus.
it was. Crazy.
So if you can imagine whatever you guys were doing, my daughter was home and I was teaching kindergarten with her and teaching 8th graders at the same time.
Jeez.
Yeah,
I lost my mind.
yeah, for sure.
So super
For
survival
sure.
mode. It was rough. And then going back the next year with masks and distancing and all of that, just
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
ready to
good
walk.
for you.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I always tell teachers, I'm like, I'm sure it's a hard decision to make. Like, that's your life and you love doing it, but then there's that other party that's like, this sucks too.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's probably a hard decision to make. So obviously you're thinking about like, I'm not happy with this now. What do I do next? So tell us how this other thing.
It really just like fell in my lap. I just feel like I'm super lucky that I get to do these cool things.
Oh, it's awesome,
I
woman. It is awesome.
I decided to resign in January. Like, didn't have anything ready to
Go
go.
back up,
Like,
right.
I don't.
21. So just
I was teaching last year. Yeah. So I finished in January of last year. I was like, I'm done. I'm not renewing my contract for real. I'm not coming back.
Sure.
And then I had until the end of the summer to find something new.
Right.
So I just didn't know what was next. So I was like, okay, I have IPERS, which is like state retirement. So if I'm a state employee, I already had 9 years in IPERS. So I started looking around at state jobs, and I actually started as a dispatcher for Dallas County.
Okay.
So like when you call 911,
Yes,
a 911 dispatcher.
And I'm like, there's a dead bunny across the street. They're like, well, fucking go pick it up. Then
Yeah.
hopefully you
Waukee.
didn't answer. No.
Yeah. Like,
I
you're
did,
crazy
disclaimer.
lady. Where's your husband?
Or
And I was in the
dog.
background like,
take her.
she's making this call.
I was like,
not
who do
by
I call?
my...
There's like a dead bunny, or not a dead bunny, but bunny screeching across the road. They're like, maybe call pet control. I'm like, okay, I will.
Okay, funny story. Squirrel. The other day, I got a call. There was a bat in someone's office,
Oh.
and I no shit went to this business, and there was a dead bat on the floor, and I just like picked it up with a paper towel and my gloves on. I was like, okay, do you have a trash can? And like threw it in the trash for her. I was like,
Yeah,
I hope she
that's-
calls
And
a
then just-
non-emergency
and then
line.
just- yeah.
Because, okay.
Just
Like,
left. Now I'm just
here
running.
to-
Now we're just running
here to
errands.
please, yeah.
Yep, I've done that.
That
Been
would
there,
be
done
it.
that. So hopefully you were dispatching at that time. What an idiot.
So I was in dispatch, and
So sorry to interrupt. Any thought to go back into the Marines at this time? Or like, is there
Oh,
anything
no.
else you'd want to do in the Marines that you
I'm
didn't
way too
explore?
old for that shit.
Okay, that's good to know. Like, just because it's so intense, or what? Or like, or the travel.
I just been out for so
or-
long.
Okay.
So been out for 10 years.
So people typically don't go back in. Once they're in, they stay in it, and then they get out and don't.
I think some people do, but I think it's within 5.
Okay.
Usually, you're like, oh, I miss it. The civilian world isn't what I thought it was going to be.
Yep.
I miss all the things, and then they go back in. Or I mean, sometimes they join a different service, so you could join something else. You don't have to go back to the Marines, but yeah, there is no way I was going back.
Right.
And my husband said that he would divorce me so he was like, I can't handle it, like you being away. Absolutely not.
I know.
Like you need to be here.
Yep.
So
Yep. No, that's. And so when did you guys get married then? How many?
we got married a year after I came back. So
Okay.
in 2010.
Awesome. Okay.
So
perfect.
12 years.
So yeah, and awesome for him to support you resigning your job. I mean, you got to have that spousal support. Otherwise, it makes decisions even harder. you
Yeah.
know? So
Luckily,
shout out to him for doing
luckily I
that.
had
To be
that.
like, no, just follow your heart and do what you need to do. So, and Chad's also an athlete. You guys are just awesome. But okay, so then dispatch.
Actually, just saw, and I hadn't met either one of you before this, and so, but I just saw a video
Of
that
videos.
was
Our
that
videos
was
today?
YouTube. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
Striking.
My
So
husband
that was
used
awesome.
to do MMA, so he has a little bit of
Awesome.
practice.
I was gonna say,
Oh.
yeah, work in the mitts, and I tell everyone, like, if someone doesn't like the mitts, I'm like, practice, get better, and they're the most fun. And so, like, you guys obviously have some experience, and so watch that video if you haven't yet.
I took a lot of videos of them. I'm
Did
about
you?
to post
Awesome.
it.
let's make a like
It's
a
good. It's real
YouTube
good.
video on
Yeah.
it too, and we'll throw it.
And then one of the groups had 3, so he offered to go in with
Awesome.
Bailey too, which is cool. So it would help her out a lot too, I think. So that was
Yeah,
good.
even if somebody's afraid to punch the mitts, having someone like him that knows how to hold them and knows
Right.
how to do
Right.
it,
Yes.
it
How
makes
to
you more
meet
comfortable hitting them.
100%.
Yes.
100%. So how long did you do dispatch for?
Only like a month.
Okay. And did you hear some did you like it? Like what? I don't know. I just don't even know when the phone would ring if I'm like what am I going to hear now? Or,
Yeah, it was crazy. It actually reminded me of air support. Like, it's just like an organized chaos.
Okay.
You never know what it's going to be, and it's somebody that is in like the worst moment of their life.
You need to calm them down, kind of,
so,
like...
I wasn't qualified. I didn't do like the medical training and the fire training and all the things that you need to be able to run the call.
Okay.
So if I were to get that call, I had to let my trainer take over. Because they wouldn't let you take emergency calls without the training.
Right,
obviously.
which makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, there were some doozies in there.
So how long would that training have been if you wanted to continue in that?
I think a few more months.
Okay.
So I never even made it off the day shift. So they do the 8-hour shifts as well. So I just kind of stayed on days because we kind of tossed around the idea of me being a deputy. I was like, okay. So, I mean,
Like,
I'll try it.
Yeah.
So I did the physical testing and I was kind of shocked. So 10 people showed up.
Okay, so hold on. We gotta just okay. So you're you're doing dispatch. Then you're just like, okay, I'm gonna just become a deputy.
Yeah.
So then it's through which county? So
Dallas County.
Dallas County.
Yep.
So then you just go there and they have. So you show up.
So they have
Or
they'll
like, how do you have to
announce
fill out
it.
an online form
Yep.
to be okay?
Yep. So you go online.
Do
And
you have to be
we're hiring.
accepted? Like, do you have to?
I think they'll let anybody test.
Okay.
So
perfect.
you just like get your name in there. Like, all right, we're doing
Because there might be
physical
somebody
testing.
listening to this that want to know
Yeah,
more about this and how to
absolutely.
become one.
So physical test then is first, right? Is that kind of
Yep.
the first?
First go.
And you know what you're showing up for. You
Yeah.
know, it's,
No,
okay,
they
okay.
tell you.
All
So
right,
if
perfect.
you show up, I'm not sure why you wouldn't make it.
Okay.
Because you know what it is.
Right. Yes.
Right.
So
So
you
it's
should be prepared.
it's a
for it.
1.5 mile run.
Okay.
A minute of push-ups and a minute of sit-ups. That's it.
Okay.
And based on your age category is where you need to be at.
There's some people listening to this. They're like, yeah, that's it. That's what she thinks, and they just didn't pass.
But she also trains at Krave. So
Right.
Yeah.
So,
compared to a Krave workout, that testing is not going to be that difficult.
So I actually came to Krave because I needed cardio.
Okay, awesome.
So I like powerlifting and I like lifting heavy and I hate cardio. So I was like, all right, gotta get
me
this,
do it,
gotta get
'cause
this
I'm not
mile and a
gonna
half
go run by
run.
myself.
I'm
Yep.
going to make you do both. So,
Yep. So that was great.
Awesome.
So
are you nervous?
for the testing, I'm just not a runner. My body just doesn't like that in any way, shape,
It's
or
normal.
form.
You have some people that do, some people that just absolutely.
And
despise
we talked earlier, the first day that you came, we did the mile test.
It was
That's
a timed
awesome.
mile run. I was like,
I
it's
love
my
that.
first day here. What are we doing? And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Wait a
not
minute.
signing up here.
This
No,
is
you
exactly
know,
why I came, but what the
But
fuck am I
I
doing?
am not happy.
Yeah.
So as much as I bitch about cardio, I know I need it. So
That's
it's
awesome.
fine.
Yes. Okay, so you weren't too nervous.
So
10 of you said?
10 people.
Mostly males, females?
Only female. I was the only female.
Okay. Yep.
And
Which is normal,
four men
probably
dropped.
more. Okay.
So I did more push-ups and more sit-ups and faster run than.
Okay, great job.
Boom!
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
I love it.
And then there is a written test. So there's 4 different sections for the written test. And I want to say you have to get 80% or higher on all the tests.
And you get study material for this?
Nope.
Oh.
I don't know. It was like, well, there's a test? Oh, okay. So it's kind of just happened.
Like general law stuff? Or what?
No,
or
like, I think it's like a common sense.
Okay,
kind of
right.
thing. Just
Which
like,
is
does
good,
your brain work
absolutely.
kind
More
of
kind
thing?
of
Yeah.
psych,
Yes.
psych
Just like,
test type of deal.
yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
good?
Yeah.
Good.
So,
Does
got
your
through that.
brain work?
Yeah.
I like-
And
I
that was
like
the
that.
same day, or you're going to
That
come back
type
for
of
that?
I did the same day. So we ran and did all the stuff first, and we came back and took the
Okay,
test.
perfect.
Yep.
Perfect.
And then that's what gets you an interview. You either
Okay.
pass those things or you don't.
Okay.
Sure.
So then I got the interview, and it's kind of it just happened. So
Right.
the sheriff is a Marine, so
Okay.
we kind of
Cool.
hit it off, and
Mm-hmm.
so that was I signed on in September officially as
Yep.
a deputy.
Yep.
That first week I was tased and did my firearm qualification and got ready to go, and
That's awesome.
yep.
That's so awesome. And then, so you had to leave for, do they call it a boot camp? Or what do they
It's
call it? Because you were just gone for a while.
Yeah, the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy
Okay,
is
okay.
currently 16 weeks
Yes.
at Camp Dodge,
Okay.
and you do have to live there.
Yep.
So I was there Monday through Friday. I got to go home on Friday night to
Yep.
be with my family.
Yes.
So that is all of Iowa's law enforcement training. So
Okay.
no matter where you are in Iowa, you have to go there.
And that's just more in-depth training on daily duties.
That's
that
like
you-
all the laws.
Yep.
Lot of crim law.
Yep.
Lot of defensive tactics, like fighting.
Okay. And did you learn a lot of this stuff in the Marines then? So
Yep.
it was kind of, that's good you have
I
that
didn't know
background
crim
then,
law.
but-
Like criminal law is nuts. Like it'll take me forever to feel comfortable with
right,
that.
right.
But yeah, a lot of the defensive techniques and handcuffing. I'd been OC sprayed before, so I've done a lot of that stuff, and I don't recommend it.
Kind of knew what to expect. Yeah.
It's the worst.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yep.
Okay, so then you pass that training, and then what? You could be out on your own then?
You go to
or-
road training.
Yep.
So then you work each of the shifts, and you show that you can talk with people, you can problem solve, that you know what the laws are, what you can charge, what pieces do you need in order to charge someone with a certain thing. Driving the car, like just doing all the things day to day. And
Right.
so you...
Is there any fun car training?
Yes.
Like track training
Yep,
and stuff?
so there is a whole week of driving out at the Newton Speedway. And
Cool.
it's like the fastest, craziest chasing, driving. It's
That's
nuts.
awesome. Is there
Yes.
I don't know, remember why I remember this, but there was a movie or something that they were doing that training, and it was like you had to do this entire track in like reverse. So they were just whipping around
Yeah.
like in reverse.
It's all that there's reverse courses, there's chasing
That's
courses, there's, you name it, we do it.
I love
And
it.
of course we're competitive, we're cops, so
Right.
all we
Right.
want to do is beat each other. So
Yes.
we time all the courses, and so like there's one in particular where like there's 3 different lanes, and there's a cone that you have to pass, and you have to go in 45 miles an hour. And the instructor who's sitting next to you is just going to yell a direction when you pass the cone.
Yes.
And you've got like 0.2 seconds to jerk the steering wheel in that direction to make it into your
Are
lane.
you
to
kidding?
get
So,
into that
yep.
line.
Oh,
Okay.
God, I would shit
And
my
you've
pants.
got so many chances to get it, so you can fail driving.
Right.
Yep.
Wow. And can you retake it? Like,
It depends. So each one has its own like requirements.
Right.
The hard one for me was, it's called Dutton's Weave. You have to like pull in and then back and pull in and back and in
Okay.
and back, and you can't use, there's no cameras. You don't get to use
Now,
any cameras.
Do you
so.
think you're gonna use that in like? You think that that's something that you might have to use?
Yep.
So interesting. That's awesome.
I don't know if you could be a sheriff.
Oh, no, I'm out.
You might have to
I need
walk.
all the cameras.
you might just be on the beat where you're walking.
That's fine.
Bike patrol.
Bike
There you
patrol,
go.
yep.
Bike
I already
patrol.
know I'm not cut out for any of her life experiences, so
Oh,
I'm just
that
gonna
is
throw.
so funny.
I'll stick to my day job. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so now you're on your own.
Yep, I'm officially
your own.
in my own car.
And how does it
on my
feel?
own.
Good?
Amazing.
Good.
I'm so
and so you're
excited.
happy with the decision
Congrats,
that
that's
you made?
awesome.
Yep.
Yes, congrats. That's
Yep.
a huge congrats for all your accomplishments. It's so awesome. Yeah, so I think I just kind of want to maybe ask a few questions.
Okay.
And if you guys have a few questions, just for asking police officers or
Random,
deputies. So can you share like any crazy stories in your experience of like in the Marines, like that's legal that you can share? Like anything that would just make people's jaw drops, or it's like, holy crap, I can't believe that happened. I know you probably can't share stories of like arrests and stuff like that, which is fine. But or like any crazy things, or and if you want to skip that question, it's totally fine. But I mean, your story when you first started with that guy, that's pretty crazy. That's a cool story. But
Which one?
the guy that's like in all the legal stuff.
Snowden.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
Snowden.
pretty
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
So let me think. It's like the first time I was shot at. Like it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's
let's
crazy
hear
being
about
shot
that
at.
because
Right.
I would. So like, what
Is there
did
anything?
it come from the back, the front? Like obviously,
so,
like you didn't know it was coming, or you saw the person shooting you. Like, how does that even happen?
so I was in the Marine house. I think I had just come off nights. I was sleeping, and then we just kind of started hearing gunfire. The windows started shattering, so we knew we were getting hit. And I just kind of rolled out of my bed and crawled into the hallway. And we have the response room in the Marine house, so we put the code into the safe, and we get in there, and all of our gear's in there, so our helmets and our flak jackets, our rifles, and we train this like several times a month.
Right.
I mean, it was such muscle memory. It was
Because
crazy.
it's bound to happen.
That's
It's
awesome.
just a matter of when.
So I'm telling you, repetition and muscle memory is real because when gunshots start going off, you get tunnel vision. And so you can like lose your sense of hearing. You can lose like your vision actually like comes in. So we got in what we call the stack at the door, and we had to run from the house to the American Embassy. So a ways.
Right.
And there's gunfire going off out there. And so for the first time in my life, like in real life, we went off safety. And it was like, oh shit. Like it just got crazy.
Yeah.
And so we ran to the embassy, and I don't remember hearing anything. And I just remember like all I could see was like right here, like super close tunnel vision. And then as soon as we got inside the door and I knew I was safe, and it would like open back up. I could hear stuff again.
Interesting, right?
So
in those moments, did like anybody freak out, or like did everybody kind of keep their calm and was like?
So the difference between the military and the police. So military is like a warrior mindset.
Absolutely.
So, like,
right.
Trained to kill.
Yes.
Like that's just what it is. So you almost are like excited about that because that's what you were trained to do. You're like, yes, finally, I finally get to do my job.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Right?
But there's all the
Like, hell yeah, here we go, get some,
my
right?
hard work to use. Yes.
And then, so the shift into the police world is guardian mindset.
Sure.
Completely different. So it's quite the shift.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So is it hard for you to separate the two right now? Or
No, I've been out for long enough that
Yeah.
it was.
And you know your role and what you're supposed to be doing now. So, okay, so now, where are are you just in Dallas County right now?
Yep.
So you can only pick me up in Dallas County?
Not necessarily.
So I have to just watch my speed limit in Dallas. Otherwise, in Polk, I can go. No.
So Dallas County is actually huge.
Yeah.
It's like over 600 square miles. So it has a piece of West Des Moines and Waukee, and it has all the cities inside of it. So we're all over.
So
Is it in Adel?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so what's your shifts like right now? So you're what time to what
I'm
time?
afternoons, so
Okay.
like 2:30 to 11.
Okay, and so like what does your day look like? Like what do you do? I just want to know.
What do I
you
do?
Like you just sit and just wait to pick people up.
So our first priority is 911 calls. So if there are calls coming in, like that's what we're doing first. If we are not responding to calls, then we can be running traffic. We can be doing warrant checks. We serve all the civil papers. So we do checks on sex offenders. We we give the papers for like protection orders, no contact orders.
Okay. So
So
kind of
we
like
do
showing
all
people
the
houses
things.
and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah, all the things.
So what's your favorite part of your job right now? Like what do you love the most?
I just love it all right now.
Okay, yeah, right. You're just taking it all in.
It's
because you get to experience a little bit of everything. I'm sure it's not like no day's boring. It seems like it's just something different every day. Almost.
I wake up and I'm like, I wonder what I'm going to get into today. And
so, like, do you have to like a lot of the accidents? I'm sure you have to go out to those. And is that hard for you to like?
So I haven't had a fatality yet.
Awesome. Good.
So
Good.
they are happening on my days off right now. So the last 2 fatalities have been on my shift, but not on my work day. So it's only a matter of time before I get a fatality.
Because I'm the type like I see the ambulance turn around and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like so that's a hard thing to probably face when you have to come up to an accident or something like that. So go ahead.
So you said there was a big, obviously a mind shift from, being a warrior to a protector as far as those two jobs. Do you think that your transition in the middle as far as like being a teacher, do you think that helped shift,
Oh, I'm sure.
where that mindset came from? Because I'm sure, muscle memory, it's ingrained a little bit in your head. Now, going from being a Marine,
those poor kids,
to the
kids.
kids,
I have some of the
there's
kids
a
that are
big
at the
shift.
gym. So like Nader was one of my 8th graders. So some of them, I mean, I was just very structured.
Yep.
And a lot of kids need structure when they're
do.
teenagers.
Right.
So I like to think that if you find a kid that had me as a teacher, that they would say that they loved me, like I was
Sure.
great.
Right.
So
Yeah, no, that's a good
But I mean,
question.
that would be very like
yes.
I don't know if you've ever seen Major Payne. Have you? Yeah. Awesome show. But that's kind of the same. I'm picturing like that same transition of being like warrior active duty to being like he in the movie he goes to being a trainer basically. What would you call that in the military? I don't even know what
like
he was in. It was like a boot camp
Yeah, like
supervisor for kids, I guess, or like
it's like a scared straight
yeah,
type thing.
kind of officer.
So like
yeah.
a counselor.
What it might be. Anyway,
Yeah.
so he goes to that and he's working with scared straight type of kids,
Mm-hmm.
but then he turns into this ball of dough loving the kids and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what I picture as far as like a transition that would be cool, and then getting into that. So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, it
Major Payne is a
definitely-
great movie. I don't know if it holds up. I haven't seen it for like probably 10 years, but I'm gonna go watch it.
Watch it again.
Yeah.
Never seen it. Maybe I'll have to watch it with you.
Okay, so to ruin the first scene, it's the best. So somebody gets shot, and he's like, one of his, somebody that's with him gets shot, and he's like in a lot of pain or whatever. He's like, I'll get your mind off that pain. Takes his finger and just snaps it.
Oh.
And he's like, oh, my finger. He's like, you can't feel the bullet anymore, can you? He's like, it's the best.
I don't know. I'll have to watch it and see.
Can't wait for your review.
Can't wait.
Yeah, we'll review it
I'll
on.
probably
on
fall
a
asleep
future-
halfway through
on a
it. Like,
future
that's just what
episode, we'll
typically
review it. But
happens.
no, it's actually more of like a soft kids movie.
Okay.
There's the only war scene. It's like in war games is what it's like the war games. So it'd be like a military school is what it was.
It's not like that sheriff or deputy show that's like really raunchy. That's
Super Troopers?
Super Troopers.
No.
Super
Hilarious.
Troopers.
Yes.
That's a day in the life of you, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. God.
I'm just
That'd be
kidding.
awesome.
That would be. Come on, leak some stuff. Come on.
Sorry.
No, I think that's it though, and I just want to give a shout out to you again for being a badass. You really are, and your experiences in life make you even more of a badass. So
How
thank you.
funny though
Yes.
would it be though if you pulled someone over and just started meowing?
Oh my gosh. Right now?
Right now. Do you think?
How many times can you say
I wonder
right
what percentage of the population would like understand and be like, "You're the best. Here's all my information. Write me a ticket."
Oh, I love it.
I would be like that.
Yeah.
I would, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any questions or anything? Dan, anything that's you're dying to know?
No, like I said, I've been able to compare your life to like some badass all-star movies in my head, and so like in order to do that, like that's really cool.
I know. That's why I was like, we got to have her
yeah.
on the interview because you have a cool story.
Yes.
So. Yes. What is the best way, do you know of any, I know you connected me via email,
Mm-hmm.
but what are some ways our athletes can give back to the first responders? Like, it's hard to find something out there that, or like, what are some events, is there any events coming
Are there
up
like
that-
funds, like when through our research, I know, and a lot of our stuff goes through different funds, whether it's like the firefighters in different areas have funds. I don't know if the sheriff department
Yeah,
has like a
has
fund or like a charitable type of take donations
I
on
think
anything.
their
like
big
that.
one right now, it's called Ride the Thin Blue Line.
Okay.
And it's a bike trail project. So this is like the sheriff's baby project. This is
Okay.
like his thing. So behind the sheriff's office, like so in between Waukee and Adel,
Mhm.
they're going to have like a memorial for any officers in Iowa that are killed in the line of duty. So their names
Okay.
will be engraved there. And the actual trail itself, I believe, is going to glow blue.
That's
Oh, cool.
awesome.
Like so,
Wow,
whatever
that's
they're
really
making it,
awesome.
like it's going to glow
Yeah.
blue at night. So the thin
Cool.
blue line,
Yep.
that's going to be
That's
the blue line.
That's
So
so cool.
I know that they have a board for the thin
Okay.
blue line and all of that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So they
Cool.
they hosted a car show not too long ago in Adel. So they kind of have their own events and stuff. So
Awesome. Yeah,
Awesome.
we'll
Check it
check
out.
that out, and if there's a link or anything to
We
it,
can
we'll
post it with
attach
that.
it down. If
I
you're
think you
watching.
sent that to me because I did look into it. Or I Googled it.
I'll
I don't know,
get
one of the
some
two, but it was
information.
really cool to see that. Yeah.
Cool.
It's awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. And thank you, athletes, for listening. Remember, you're an athlete. Live like it.
It's in your DNA.
Live like an athlete so that you can be successful in life.
You're an athlete. Live like it.
ANA, America needs athletes.